unveils stricter 2026 Cyber and Information Security Directive to tackle rising digital threats in financial sector.
Much later tonight in international news, Iran rejects U.S. peace plan as excessive and issues 5 conditions to end the war. Welcome to the broadcast. We're live also on all our social media platforms at TV3 Ghana. We can get interactive there. Let's settle for the details.
In our very first story, the United Nations General Assembly has approved a landmark resolution spearheaded by Ghana that formally declares slavery and the transatlantic slave trade as one of the greatest injustices against humanity. Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa spoke with the media after the vote on Wednesday.
With the adoption of this resolution, Resolution A/80/L48, we have not simply passed a text, we have affirmed a truth. We have chosen remembrance over silence, dignity over erasure, and shared humanity over division. We have advanced the cause of justice, and we have done that so emphatically. Those who voted in favor, 123 member states of the United Nations. 52 abstained, and only 3 voted against. This is an emphatic victory for justice. And our ancestors, Africans, and all people of African descent are today honored that our humanity and our dignity have been restored. Let me, on behalf of the African Group, express our profound appreciation to all member states who supported this resolution. We wish to thank those who engage in its consideration in a spirit of dialogue, reflection, and good faith. We acknowledge that views differed during this process, and we note the positions taken by delegations that were not in a position to support the resolution at this time. The adoption of this text is not an arrival at a destination, but rather a major step in our ongoing journey and collective conversation for reparatory justice.
And of course, certainly massive congratulations to Ghana and the entire African continent. Let's do some other stories tonight. And imagine being able to tell an engineer or a farmer exactly how much rain will fall in his town 25 years from now, before he lays a single pipe or crop. The vision is no longer science fiction. Ghana's own climate data is painting a stark picture, and experts warn the window for action is narrowing faster than many of us realize.
We have all felt it. The rains that arrived too early then vanished when the crops needed them most. The sudden storms that turned streets into rivers. The coastal communities watching the sea inch closer every year. For decades, Ghanaians have been witnessing these changes. Now, for the first time, the nation has a tool that maps them and looks a century ahead. The Atlas tracks 3 critical parameters: temperature, rainfall, and sea level rise, and it does not paint a comfortable picture. Ghana's own State of Climate report released just weeks ago confirmed that 2024 was the hottest year on record in the country's last 30-year analysis. 2025 came in as the second hottest. The trend is unmistakable. But the Atlas is not just a warning, it is a working tool built for the people who make decisions that shape Ghanaian lives.
If we don't take certain measures today, temperatures are going to keep on rising, and its effect is this erratic rainfall, and rainfall coming the time that you don't need it, and it coming the time you need it, you may not have the rainfall, and then it comes with a lot of wind and storm, thunder, and that can create a very unpleasant situation for the country.
Think of a district engineer sitting at his desk with a drainage project in front of him. Today he can open this atlas, look up his district and find out how intense the rainfall in that community is expected to be over the next 25 years. That information could mean the difference between infrastructure that holds and infrastructure that collapses the first time a storm hits.
If an engineer in, say, Doma Hinkro, Doma district is planning, and he wants to see how maybe he's designing a drainage, he wants to see how the rainfall is going to be in the next 25 years. He can get it from the atlas to have an idea how the rainfall is going to be, to inform how he should design the drainage to be able to accommodate the rainfall that is to be expected in 25 years from now.
The picture they see demands that Ghana's policymakers prepare adequately for the future.
So what we seek this climate atlas to do is to inform decision, to inform policy, so that policy makers will be guided by this information in planning, by planning and helping us to be able to adapt to the changes that we are anticipating, helping us to be able to design our infrastructure and take decisions that will make us survive when we get to or when the climate extreme events hit the country.
Ghana is not the author of this crisis, but Ghana will feel its weight in its harvest, its dwindling coastlines, its cities, and its most vulnerable communities. The only question left is whether the decisions that follow will be bold enough to match what the data is asking of us.
In more news tonight, the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat, NIMOS, has warned illegal miners attacking officers that the Secretariat will not hesitate to respond decisively to such threats. Director of Operations at NIMOS, Colonel Dominic Boa, was speaking in Accra, where he outlined ongoing efforts to restore sanity in the illegal mining sector.
The National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat, NIMOS, has been at the forefront of the fight against illegal mining since its establishment last year. On Wednesday, March 25, NIMOS leadership accounted for their stewardship over the period, detailing their efforts to restore sanity in the mining sector. The operation is aimed at flushing out illegal miners, protecting water resources, and promoting sustainable practices that support ecological health. The Director of Operations at the Secretariat, Colonel Dominic Boa, told journalists that the Galamsey fight has been challenging, especially in situations where individuals wield firearms, posing a significant national security threat. So far, 59 illicit arms have been confiscated by NIMOS, pending official documentation and distraction by the Commission on Small Arms and Light Weapons. Colonel Dominic Boa warned that NIMOS will no longer tolerate attacks on its personnel by illegal miners.
There are several weapons in the space. As you can see, 59 weapons, there are more. And they are basically pump-action guns in the hands of these galamseyers. And that is a huge risk, a national security risk. Because when they have them in the field, any provocation, they will fire. We had a few brushes where one of my soldiers was shot. Luckily, it was in his thigh and he's recovering. But as I reiterated the last time, NIMOS will not stand by and watch people use weapons against us. We are better trained in the weapons. And therefore, I'll send a warning out there once again that anybody who does, NIMOS will deal with them ruthlessly. It is a problem that we are trying to address, but we have the right to self-defense. And let no galamseya miss that. If you go to the field with weapon and you try to fire it, a lot more will be at you.
And now, tomato traders want the government to immediately initiate contingency measures to ensure local tomato production and minimize overdependence on imports. One of the proposed measures is the revamping of the Poldogo irrigation dam. William Evansinkum has filed this report.
Burkina's government decision to halt the exportation of tomato to neighboring Ghana is known to these traders. Racecourse received tons of tomatoes from neighboring Burkina Faso for onward retail. Most tomatoes found at the Racecourse market were imported from the neighboring country. There are enough here. However, demand is low, contrary to earlier speculation of a possible consumer scramble for fear of scarcity. Although they contemplate of a future price spike, prices of the vegetable has remained the same for the past 30 days. Adrapepra has been in the business for the past 50 years. A retailer who deals in tomatoes from neighboring Burkina Faso. She fears price will soon spike, although demand for the vegetable has fallen considerably.
Ada say obema omo ankasa kita omo say private wine no ometima ye omo de na abanso aye omo de a me fi say ebe boa ye because ye wasase wo ha ye betima ye afu na mla ye betima ye afu ada na ye betima ye afu ye wasase.
We have arable lands. Government should ensure we grow our own tomatoes.
Here is the unloading point. The leader of the tomato traders, also known as the Queen Mother, says importers are now running at a loss.
We plead with the government to revamp the Palugu Dam so we can grow our own tomatoes in large quantities, not continue borrowing to the dictates of neighboring countries because we are in need.
As of last month, one bucket of this one was going for between 350 and then 250 Ghana cedis. Price hasn't changed much. It remains the same. But that is fragile because the traders are contemplating of a possible price hike in the next window. That is if the next consignment of tomato from Burkina Faso has price variation in terms of increments. Then they will have no other option than to also increase retail price. But until then, prices of tomato remain unchanged. From Racecourse Markets here in Kumasi, William Evans Inkum, TV3 News.
Meanwhile, the Minister of Food and Agriculture, Eric Opoku, says government has allocated resources to the West Africa Center for Crop Improvement to develop and invest in an improved tomato variety aimed at boosting local production. The minister was responding to a statement on the floor of Parliament.
Gap of approximately 300,000 metric tons to close before we can attain sufficiency in tomato production in Ghana. But we have to understand, we have to have a better appreciation of the challenge, the root cause of it, before we can prefer the appropriate solution to deal with it. While our counterparts in Burkina Faso are doing 18 tons per hectare, we are doing 8 tons. So what is the problem? The problem is the seed, the variety that is used in the production of tomatoes. And so we have decided, and this morning we had a meeting with Waki of Legon and some of the research institutions, and they have given us the assurance that they can give us a variety that can give us more than 20 tons per hectare. Yeah. More than 20 tons per hectare. So we are asking, we are committing them. We have made some resources available to ensure that we develop that variety to bring a lasting solution to the problem.
And now from agriculture to some health-related stories. Bridget Ababio still recalls the moment a simple cough changed her life forever. What began as a mild irritation soon escalated into weeks of sleepless nights, chest pain and extreme fatigue. Sarah Penko reports that when she started coughing up blood, it became clear the situation was far more serious. She was diagnosed with tuberculosis.
My name is Bridget Abeidu, a TB survivor. My TB journey was not easy. I went through years of illness, including severe coughing with blood, partial blindness, paralysis at a time, before finally I was diagnosed with TB. of which its complication resulted in loss of lung and left a right lung fibrosis. I was put on medication for 6 months. After the 6 months, that is when it relapsed. I have to be put on different treatments because the first medication failed.
Today, Bridget is TB-free, but recovery has not come without challenges. Bridget says she continues to deal with complications linked to the illness, while also facing stigma from people who still misunderstand the disease.
The stigmatization started right from the hospital when I was diagnosed with tuberculosis. That is when some nurses tried to pull back away from me. Some people didn't want me to come close to them. And even in the community, people were tagging that I'm having HIV. Others were saying I'm a witch. People were not buying from my mother because they thought I am having HIV. And then during the TB, I deferred my education. I was in class 6 when I had the first susceptible tuberculosis. That is when I stopped school. So I stayed home 2 years. People didn't even want me to join their groups in class.
Now determined to make a difference, she is calling on policymakers to rethink interventions and provide stronger support systems for TB patients.
Nutritional support we have for TB patients is only for the multi-drug resistant. But when you come to those having the susceptible tuberculosis, it is not like that. So I will urge the government to put in much effort. We need more funding.
Bridget's story is not an isolated one. Morrison Richmond is another survivor of tuberculosis. Like Bridget, his journey has been marked by physical, spiritual, and emotional struggles.
We went to fetish priest, plenty churches. They gave me different types of aquanchere, biester. Nothing works out. So it was the hospital that I even got to know that there's a sickness called TB. And then when I came home, I was rejected, not by my family members, by my friends, my classmates, my church members. I was isolated, using my cap, my towel, my everything alone. It was very bad. I felt rejected.
Tuberculosis remains a major public health concern in Ghana, with thousands of new cases recorded each year. However, many cases go undiagnosed or untreated due to stigma, low awareness, and delays in seeking care. Despite being both preventable and curable, misinformation about the disease continues to fuel fear and discrimination.
We need to take the testing from the laboratory into the homes. That is when we are sure we can get the care. And this is where, for us as civil societies who operate in hard-to-reach communities, we believe that this is what can help us to achieve the target of 44,000 people being linked to care. So we need to invest more into case finding.
TB is an airborne disease spread through droplets when an infected person coughs or sneezes. Common symptoms include persistent coughing, chest pain, weight loss, fever, night sweats, and fatigue. The stories of Bridget and Morrison serve as a powerful reminder that behind every statistics is a human life defined by struggle, resilience, and hope. Sarah Apenkro, TV3 News, Accra.
In more news tonight, some workers of the Ghana Railway Company Limited returned to the Ministry of Transport earlier today, picketing over 14 months of unpaid salaries. After assurances were given that their concerns would be addressed this week, the workers say there has been no communication or progress since then. The group says by next week, if they have not heard any positive updates, they will take matters into their own hands.
Many of the picketing Ghana Railway Company Limited workers are parents and breadwinners for their families, yet the only salary they depend on has not been paid for over 14 months.
My daughter is in Form 3. She will be writing BEC in a month or two to come. I've not registered her because I don't have the means. My husband is being supportive, but it's not enough. So as a woman or as a working mother, I also have to support my kids.
I don't have a home right now because my landlord was requesting for extra payment. I couldn't offer. So right now I've been living in one of our offices there. You see, it's very hard for us. I have 2 kids. For now, they are home. They are not able to go to school because of me not getting their school fees. It's very poor.
After being assured by the Chief Director of the Ministry of Transport, William Carty, when they last picketed on March 19, that their concerns would be addressed this week, they were met with the absence of authorities on Wednesday, March 25. Benjamin Suman is the General Secretary of the Ghana Railway Workers Union.
By 31st of this month, we need our salary. By 31st or after 31st, unless, since we have lost a lot of our workers, we will be here unless the police and they will call the police to come and kill us. Then everything will be off because we are ready to. Since this thing started, we lost family members, workers close to 50. Just last 2 weeks, we lost three workers, and they will be all that they will be saying that this, and it will occur to you that if they pay all the 14 months, some of the workers even will not get 10,000. Why? Because the salaries are peanuts.
Amid growing concerns that the railway sector has not been vibrant, workers attribute the situation to political interference and the unavailability of clear policies to boost the sector. As part of the issues they want addressed, they are calling on the government to invest in the sector and save it from collapsing.
We are working. Tema in Pakadan, the same railway workers are moving the trains. Accra to Tema. No, it's not our fault. The workers are ready to work. It's up to the government and the politicians to boost and resource the sector.
Those saying that railway is not working, railway is that I'm a cashier. I even came here with some people's station earnings. I always come to work to take my money, go to deposit and other stuff. So we are begging the government, they should pay our money and also look after railway for us.
We need investors to come. Investors come, railways will develop.
The railway workers say their message is simple. They want the government to pay their salaries, retool the railway sector, or find alternative ways to absorb them into other sectors of the economy.
In some other stories tonight, the Domestic Violence and Victim Support Unit, DOVSIL, of the Ghana Police Service, has ordered a Leboni SHS French tutor, Godwin Adigbili, to open his defense after establishing that he has a case to answer for the charge of indecent assault against the 16-year-old student of the school. Lawyers, 45-year-old, filed a submission of no case after the prosecution closed the case. Lord Dwasari has more in this report.
45-year-old Godwin Adigbili is on a 50,000 cedis bail after pleading not guilty to the charge of indecent assault of the 16-year-old Laboni Senior High School student. In court on Wednesday, March 25, defense lawyers led by Ernest Besemete argued in the submission of no case that the prosecution, among other things, failed to prove that the accused unlawfully touched or assaulted the victim. He noted that the prosecution could not prove that the alleged touching was indecent in nature and that the act was done without consent or by force, threat, intimidation, or coercion. The defense also argued that despite the alleged victim's testimony that she was kissed roughly, dragged against her will, and forced into a storeroom and then pushed onto a bed, under cross-examination, no consistent account was maintained on how the alleged acts occurred. He prayed the court to take cognizance of the inconsistencies in the narratives of the complainant, the alleged victim, and the prosecution's failure to present compelling evidence in the matter, and uphold their submission of no case. After listening to the arguments of the defense lawyers, the court held that the prosecution had established a prima facie against the accused person and ordered him to open his defense. The judge then ordered the lawyers to file the defense and adjourn the case to April 22 for trial to start. Lord Idwasari, TV3 News, Accra.
Away from the courts, Parliament has passed the Value for Money Office Bill 2026, clearing the way for the creation of an independent body to strengthen oversight of public spending and procurement.
Finance Minister Dr. Kasia Latoforsen in February this year presented the bill to the House. He indicated that it is designed to address long-standing issues such as inflated contracts, project abandonment, cost overruns and wasteful expenditure. The new Value for Money Office will function as an independent oversight institution with the authority to conduct value for money assessments and issue mandatory certificates before major gov contracts are awarded. It will also monitor compliance and enforce sanctions where violations occur. The bill was taken through the consideration stage, the third reading, and passed. The office is expected to play a critical role in improving public financial management and ensuring that government projects are completed on time and deliver tangible benefits to citizens.
Now, 1 year after its launch, the MTN Ghana Yellow Ladies Network is being celebrated for promoting inclusion, mentorship and career growth for women within the company. The initiative, which brings together female staff across the organization, is aimed at empowering women to thrive both professionally and personally.
Launched in 2025, the Yellow Ladies Network was created to provide a platform for mentorship, support and leadership development among women at MTN Ghana. Over the past year, the network has organized a number of activities focused on skills development, confidence building and creating opportunities for women to grow within the organization.
We've been able to create a safe space for women to interact, to talk about issues that pertain only to women, that only women will understand. That, for me, has created a bond. It has created a sense of unity, and it's also educated the women on certain health issues. We raised about 200,000 cedis for breast cancer awareness. We donated 150,000 Ghana cedis to the Kolebu Breast Cancer Unit to help cater for some of the patients. We've had curated sessions with some female leaders, not just at our launch, but also during the year. And we plan to do more of that.
The initiative also aligns with broader efforts by MTN Ghana to promote diversity and inclusion in the workplace.
As a business, if we do not empower and use both genders, we actually sell ourselves short. And so MTN as a business believes in empowering its women and making use of both genders to maximize our output.
Members say the network has created a safe space for women to connect, share experiences and support each other in navigating their careers. As the network marks its first anniversary, MTN Ghana says it is committed to expanding the initiative and deepening its impact. With growing conversations around gender equality in the workplace, initiatives like the Yellow Ladies Network are seen as key to building more inclusive and supportive corporate environments.
You're watching News 360. We're live also on all our social media platforms at TV3 Ghana. Stay with us. We're back with more stories, including the latest in the world of business, the sport, entertainment, after this break.
Hello there, good evening and welcome to the business segment here on News 360. I am Michael Obodu. Now, the Bank of Ghana has launched a revised Cyber and Information Security Directive for 2026, tightening oversight of digital risk as the country's financial system becomes increasingly technology-driven. Speaking at the launch in Accra, Governor Johnson Pandit-Isiama said the directive marks a shift from traditional banking supervision to protecting critical data infrastructure, warning that cyber threats now pose systemic risk to the economy.
The updated framework expands regulation to fintechs and microfinance institutions, introduces governance rules for artificial intelligence, and strengthens the role of the Financial Industry Command Security Operations Center as the sector's emergency response hub. Governor Dr. Johnson Isiama says cybersecurity must now be treated as a national priority.
A framework that is designed for the challenges of 2018, in no way can it adequately solve the problems of today, now that we are in 2026. The threat landscape has changed, and so must we. We have moved beyond simple compliance towards a posture of active and collective cyber resilience.
Officially launching the directive, Chief of Staff Julius Debra stressed that cybersecurity is key to trust and safety in the financial sector.
Businesses must trust that transactions are secure. Institutions must trust that the systems they depend on are protected. So when we strengthen cyber resilience, we are not only protecting infrastructure, we are protecting confidence in the entire financial ecosystem.
For his part, Minister of Communications, Digital Technology and Innovation, Samuel Nate George, emphasized the importance of compliance with the revised directive.
We'll work closely with Governor. All PSP license holders will be designated CIIs by the ministry, so that strengthens your hand in enforcing their compliance once we designate them as CII. Section 44 of Act 1038, I think it's subsection 6 or so, mandates that you must file your reports monthly to the Cybersecurity Authority. And so make sure that you are not in default, because if you go down, it says that when you default, I can fine you.
Now, Ghana's push towards an export-led economy is taking center stage in Accra as the Ghana Export-Import Bank marks a decade of operations. Chief Executive Officer Sylvester Mensah says the milestone signals a renewed drive to strengthen exports and accelerate industrial growth.
The two-day conference to mark the bank's 10th anniversary brought together policymakers, development finance institutions, and private sector leaders to reflect on 10 years of impact and map out the future. Under the theme, A Decade of Enabling Export Trade and Industrial Transformation, the event highlights the bank's role in advancing Ghana's export trade and industrial expansion. Ghana Export-Import Bank Chief Executive Sylvester Mensah was concerned about increasing investment, promoting value addition and enhancing Ghana's competitiveness in the global market.
As we look to the next phase, our approach will be more focused, delivery-oriented and accountable. We are moving from a broad mandate to a sharper execution model, one that defines priority sectors clearly, deepens our instruments, strengthens partnership, and links every major intervention to measurable outcomes.
Vice President Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman emphasized the need for innovation, export diversification, and sustained investment in response to the evolving global economy.
Ghana's economy should become even more productive, diversified, and resilient. We must strengthen the link between what we produce and what we export. We must ensure that our young people inherit an economy that rewards enterprise, innovation, and sheer hard work.
The conference is expected to conclude with a renewed strategic direction for the Ghana Exim Bank aimed at fostering partnerships and driving sustainable export, growth and industrial transformation.
Savannah Impact Advisory has announced the first close of its maiden investment fund, Chigaba Venture Capital Limited, securing about 383 million cedis in committed capital against a 1 billion cedi target. The fund is a blended finance vehicle aimed at strengthening Ghana's private capital ecosystem.
The fund will invest in high-growth sectors including agriculture, financial services, healthcare, clean energy, education technology, and light manufacturing. The goal is to channel long-term capital into businesses across West Africa to support inclusive economic growth. The Chigaba Fund is also the first private fund of funds domiciled in West Africa. It is designed to mobilize domestic institutional capital into venture capital, private equity, and private debt funds that support small and medium-sized enterprises.
We are in the market to raise 1 billion Ghana cedis. Today, we are closing at 380 million, and we are going to be investing in funds and then in SMEs across multiple sectors. That drives the economy of Ghana to create jobs and improve livelihood of our population. And the good thing is that we are raising a lot of the money from Ghana. We have some money is coming from outside, but majority of the money is going to be raised from Ghana, which is what makes it very interesting.
Fund managers say reaching the first close reflects growing confidence in alternative investments and signal a shift towards mobilizing local capital for development. They add that the strategy could help deepen private capital markets and expand financial options for businesses across the region.
My assurance to investors is that we see this as stewardship. We know where the money is coming from. We need to develop Ghana and build the Ghana we want, and we will make sure that the money is secured.
The fund is expected to scale investments in the coming months as it works towards its full capital target.
And that'll be all for the business segment here on News 360. I am Michael Obodu. Up next is sports.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the sports segment here on News 360 with me, Reku Ampofo. The official launch of the 2026 Accra African Senior Athletics Championships is currently underway at the Accra Sports Stadium, marking the start of preparations for the 24th edition of the competition. The championship will take place from May 12 to 17, 2026 at the University of Ghana Sports Stadium in Legon, where top track and field athletes from across Africa will come together to compete. We now head over to the Accra Sports Stadium, where my colleague Billy Shen is on the ground with the latest updates.
Adams just spoke, gave his address before, of course, the official launch of the African Senior Athletics Championships. Remember, this is going to be the 24th edition happening here in Accra, Ghana, from the 12th of May to the 17th of May at the Legon Sports Stadium. And it is very significant. As I entered this Accra Sports Stadium where the launch is happening, I saw a number of signages, including some top Ghanaian athletes like Abdurrashid Saminu, Akani Simbine, and some athletes from Africa. Now, I'm going to talk to Mr. Charles Osei-Sibe, who is part of the Ghana Olympic Committee, on their preparations and also, of course, on the launch ahead of this remarkable event, which is coming to Ghana for the first time in history. Mr. Osei-Sibe, good evening to you. I mean, first off, how has preparations been ongoing so far ahead of the African Senior Athletics Championship?
Well, a lot is being done. I must say that I was part of the team that moved into Cameroon to bid for this championship. And immediately after that, we've been working so hard, and LOC is in place. Today, we are just about 50 days down to the championship, so we decided to officially launch this. I mean, if you see what we have done here, it means that Africa is coming, Accra is ready. All the top athletes are coming into town, and we are very confident that patrons of athletics, people who love the sport, who will thrown to the University of Ghana Sports Stadium, they will love this. I'll use this platform to tell Ghana that we need resources, we need support to ensure that we have been able to host the rest of Africa.
Talking about athletes, of course, in the camp of Ghana, we are expecting to see the likes of Abdurrashid Saminu, Benjamin Asamati. I mean, which athletes have already confirmed that they are coming over here to Accra to compete for Ghana?
Well, every top athlete you know. This year marks 60 years for Botswana as a country, and they wanted to, organize this event to celebrate the event. Unfortunately, we won the bid. Now, all the top guys from Botswana are coming. All the top guys from South Africa are coming. All the top Ghanaian guys are also coming into town. So I can promise all the Kenyans are also going to be in town. So it's going to be great, and everybody would see everything they see in world athletics in Accra.
Right, and I mean, you mentioned that the top athletes are coming, so that means there'll be a lot of pressure on Ghana to win medals, especially. Now, in history, Ghana has won 101 medals in the entirety of the African Senior Athletics Championship. And just 2 years ago in Douala, they won 3 medals, one of which came in the 4x100. What is the expectation of Ghana in this one?
Well, as a host, the advantage is that we're going to enter more athletes, and the probability of winning more medals is high. But I can tell you, in high jump, in track and field, in all the jumps, Ghana comes strong. But the highlight of the championship will be the relay 4x100, and I bet you Ghana will defend the title.
Right, thank you very much, Mr. Osei-Sibe. And as you can see, the World Athletics, the African Senior Athletics Championship, it has been officially launched right on stage. As you can see over there, the official launch has just happened.
Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause. It's coming, it's arriving, it's a 100-meter race. Don't worry, it will get there. It's coming, and it's here. A big round of applause for Accra 2026. There it is. He's doing skirmishes. Yeah, I love it. There you go. Feel the heat.
All right, on time to get first viewing of the logo for the African Championship. That's the Athletics Championships, which will be taking place here in Ghana for the first time May this year. Remember that we'll be bringing you live coverage of that on TV3 as well. We'll bringing you subsequent details much later. But my name is Ore Kwampofo, and that's how we wrap up the sports segment here. And entertainment news is up next.
Entertainment news segment is brought to you by GTP Lifestyle and Napa Foods. Heaven Black Insecticide Spray and Coil. Powered by 3 Entertainment.
Good evening and welcome to the entertainment news segment here on News360. My name is Noella Dongo. Now, the Deputy Executive Secretary of the National Film Authority, James Gardner, has outlined strict measures to guide the disbursement of government's 20 million Ghana cedi allocation to the Ghana's film industry. Now, speaking to Owusu Orai, Gardner acknowledged that access to funding remains one of the biggest challenges facing filmmakers, but assured stakeholders that the fund will be managed with transparency and accountability.
In February this year, President John Dramani Mahama announced the 20 million Ghana cedis allocation to Ghana's film industry as part of efforts to strengthen the country's creative economy.
Government has allocated 20 million Ghana cedis to the film sector alone. This is going to the film sector to support Kumawood and Gallywood and all the woods.
According to James Gardner, the funds will primarily support capacity building, film production, and training programs aimed at revitalizing the sector.
It's all for capacity building, productions, workshops, masterclasses, trainings. Our key mantra is to make sure that we move with time and it becomes fluid like it is, but in the right direction. They want to see the sort of good production and stories coming out of the country and getting a lot of traction, and for producers to get their money's worth.
He emphasized that the NFA will not have unilateral control over the funds. Gardner further stressed that transparency mechanisms are already in place to ensure only qualified and credible applicants benefit from the fund.
Even with content creators, if you bring the product, we don't sit on it. I don't get to choose where the money is going. There's a core committee that's going to be supervising that, and then there's the board as well. So whatever it is, it will go through all those steps before we even get to know. So when it comes to transparency and all of that, it's done.
Filmmakers seeking support must meet key requirements, including obtaining a valid NFA license and demonstrating a proven track record.
Whoever it is that brings a project and gets the license from NFA, if you're a producer or if you want to be able to become a beneficiary, there has to be a track record. You don't just get up and say, okay, we want this. For me to trust you with the project that you're going to do, there has to be some. So it's almost like going for a loan from a bank. You know, you can't. First time is usually, might be tricky. So maybe partnering with somebody who has been in the scene for quite some time, and there's also going to be supervision and to make sure that the money is going where it's supposed to go and it's doing what it's supposed to do.
And that's it for the entertainment news segment here on News360. My name is Noella Donko.
Thank you so much, Noel, and that's it for News360. Thank you so much for your time. I am Portia Gabo.
I am Noble Crosby Annan. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.